Now, good morning and welcome to the Morning Buzz. It is the 26th day of the month of November, only 5 days to December, the 1st of December, and that is how we are just going to wind up the year 2025 and hopefully begin very well the year 2026. But first, before we go into anything else, I just want to be the first one to be wishing you a very Merry Christmas 2025 and also welcoming you to our morning show today, the Morning Buzz. My name is Chemutai Kirui, and of course my director this morning is Lucas Ouma, and I'm just hoping that you have just woken up and you woke up so well, so healthy, feeling so happy. And I hope and pray that the rest of your day is going to remain the same way, just happy, everything flowing well, and of course, you know, all the mercies and the abundance of the grace of God may follow us to the rest of the day, and of course to the end of the week and the end of the year. And first, this morning we are going to begin our morning buzz with the magazine review. And you know, a lot of things have been happening in the Kenyan political and other scenes in the country. Of course, there have been by-elections campaigns that have been going on for a while now, about a month, and of course tomorrow is the D-Day. Kenyans are waiting so much to go and do their by-elections, to go and vote for their person or their people of choice, their leaders of choice who are going to represent them in many ways. Some are going to vote for the members of parliament, some even for members of the county assemblies, and of course many other things have been happening that we are just going to look at right now. And we are going to begin with the Standard newspaper. This morning we are going to begin the magazine review with the Standard newspaper, and on the balls it's fighting for survival. Kenyan IEBC, of course, is fighting for its survival. You know, this is the team that was chosen this April of this year, and this is their first task. But before we go into that, even the people who are fighting for survival here in their political space, this is Professor Kithure Kindiki, who is the current deputy president for Kenya, and this is Musalia Mudavadi, who is the prime cabinet secretary and secretary for foreign affairs, and there are others whom we shall be looking at soon. But first, I want us to see this text: Godfather's distress. And for the politicians, Ruto has quietly tasked with securing Mount Kenya, Western and the Pastoral Belt. Tomorrow's polls are unforgiving. Victory strengthens their bargaining power heading to cabinet reshuffles, party realignments, and also coalition talks. Defeat, however, will expose them as liabilities. Leaders who can't shift votes, can't even whip local loyalties, and can't deliver when it matters. And in a government that measures value in raw numbers, failing at home is political suicide. Now this is in page 4 and 5 of the Standard newspaper. These are politicians who are not they are not really active into politics, but they are holding top government seats. As we have seen, this is Professor Kithure Kindiki, who came into the deputy presidential seat after the former deputy president Rigathi Gachagua was impeached by the Senate and the members of the parliament. And this is Professor Dr. Musalia Mudavadi, who is the prime cabinet secretary. So we know that he is not really into politics according to his position in the government. But now, of course, the government expects something, you know, it's a take and give. He was given the position, and now he's a godfather to the Western region. So he is expected to bring numbers, as we have seen here, in a government whereby, in a government that can't be political loyalties and can't deliver when it matters, in a government that measures value in raw numbers. Failing at home is failing at suicide. So this means that Musalia Mudavadi, of course, has to bring the numbers from Malava, whereby the by-elections are going to happen tomorrow. And also down here, we have other key figures in the government. We have Moses Wetangula, who is the National Assembly Speaker. He is also from the Western Belt. And we have Amason Kingi, who is the Senate Assembly Speaker from the Coastal Region. And Hassan Joho, who is the CS for Ministry of Mining, Blue Economy, and Maritime. So these people are the key figures in the government whom we do not expect to be actively participating in politics. But just because the political field nowadays is a give and take thing, so they have no I can say that they have no choice but to go to the grounds to make sure that they are really campaigning for the UDA, you know, and the pro-government electorates or candidates, to make sure that they are bringing those votes home. They are bagging the votes home. So it is something that we are going to see tomorrow. Tomorrow on 27th November is the day that the by-elections is going to happen countrywide. And of course, we have been seeing them in the spotlight nowadays, campaigning actively for their members, for people, candidates from the UDA political party. And of course, tomorrow is when the Kenyans are going to decide whom they are going to vote for, whom they have been pleased with, and of course whom they have confidence of being a leader in. Now, these are the people who have been, of course, the Ruto government is depending on them fully to bring those votes home. And also, when we look at the daily newspaper today, it also talks about almost the same thing. You see, the daily newspaper has elections opposition politicians have already gone to court to demand for more electoral reforms. So especially what is happening in the country right now is, of course, heading to tomorrow about the by-elections that is going to happen. IEBC faces big test in mini polls. The mini polls, that is the by-election that is here to happen tomorrow in countrywide. Now it is make or break. The Electoral Commission says that it is all set to deliver credible by-elections tomorrow on the 27th, which many Kenyans will be watching with an eye on 2027. Will new IEBC chairman Erastus Edung Ethekon and his team steer the hotly contested polls in a free, fair, and transparent manner? With the conduct restore confidence in the commission? This is in page 4 and 5 of the daily newspaper. And of course, like I said earlier, this is the team that was elected, that was nominated into the office by the government in April this year. And of course, a lot is expected from them because, you know, they went through the due process and the country was keenly following on it. And of course, this is going to be their first assignment. The by-elections that is yet to happen tomorrow is going to be their first assignment. And before we just even go on the details, I want us to look at what they have to say, their take. Now, the IEBC chairman Erastus Edung Ethekon says that the IEBC does not take instructions from any individual, political actor or external interest. The commission remains committed to upholding. He says that the commission remains committed to upholding the Constitution and delivering a credible process. Of course, he has assured Kenyans that everything is going to be all right, that the elections is going to be free, to be fair, and to be for everyone. Of course, he said that no one is going to influence the decision of on behalf of the people. Of course, he says that no, they do not take instructions from anyone, not even the president, not even the prime cabinet secretary or any other political figure. And now Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka, who is in the opposition, says that this is a new IEBC team, and we all know how it came into to be in office. It is the lowest rated public institution when it comes to trust by the public, and this has been happening for a very long time. The Kenyans no longer have faith in the IEBC because, you know, of the past election scandals, and so the chairman and his commission have huge responsibility. If you do not get this one right, Kenyans will not have confidence in you to manage the 2027 general elections. And of course, you know, Kalonzo Musyoka, among other opposition leaders, when the IEBC team went into office, they had a lot of issues. We remember even Martha Karua went to the courts trying to make sure that these people do not get into office and make sure that the other people are vetted. You know, there were a lot of issues during the vetting processes, and that made them go to court. But anyhow, they just went into office, and now this is their first assignment, which Kalonzo Musyoka is going to use them to rate them if they can manage the 2027 elections or not. So it is just up to tomorrow that we are going to see. And elsewhere, now the Odinga family is also mourning. Here we see Raila's sister dies in city, plunging the family into mourning again. Now the Jaramogi Oginga Odinga family has once again been thrown into mourning following the death of Beryl Achieng, Raila Odinga's sister. Then in Nairobi, her demise comes just a month after the death of the opposition leader. Now Kisumu Member of Parliament Ruth Odinga yesterday confirmed that her sister died at Nairobi West Hospital. Despite her relative privacy, family members described Beryl as warm, steady, and deeply devoted to her children and siblings. The funeral arrangements are expected to be announced in the coming days. Now, this is once again the Odinga family. They are mourning Beryl Odinga, who is the sister to Raila Odinga. But this is the sister that many people did not know about. She was always not in the spotlight, not in the limelight. She was not in the cameras for long. But there is an incident whereby Raila Odinga, who is the late brother to Beryl Odinga now, once saved Beryl Odinga from a very abusive marriage from an MP whom we do not want to mention. But now it's so sad that the Odinga family is going into mourning again, just 1 month after mourning the ODM party, the late ODM party leader Raila Odinga. And we just hope that they find solace and, you know, everything is going to be all right for them. And now coming here again, in the Kenyan education sector and globally the education sector, there is something that needs to be fixed. Report shows that 6 in 10 school children struggle with reading and maths. This is something that a lot of children, of course, have been struggling with, especially in the rural parts of Kenya. But now this is not only in Kenya, this is globally. It says that 6 in 10 children cannot read a simple sentence or solve basic math problems. Alarmingly, 2/3 of these are currently in school. The findings were revealed in a new report by the People Action for Learning network that measured learning outcomes among 89,870 children aged 5 to 16 years across 12 countries. The result raised major concerns about the quality of education in many low and middle-income countries, revealing that school attendance alone is not guaranteeing real learning. Of course, this is something that most educators have been urging parents to make sure that when their children are at home, they practice what they have been doing in school, not only jumping around and, you know, playing around, but also studying. Now let us go to the numbers. 89,870 students is the number of children who are aged between 5 and 12 who are sampled. You know, the piloting was done on them across the 12 countries in the study. And now 43% of them is the percentage of 10-year-old in Kenya. This is 10-year-old in Kenya now, specifically in Kenya, who met the benchmark compared to Tanzania, 33%, and Uganda 4%. So that means in Tanzania it is about 10%, and Uganda it is about 39%. So this is something that, you know, at least Kenya is doing better. It shows that Kenya is doing better compared to Tanzania and of course compared to Uganda, something that we all expected. And now 6,669 is the number of children who are assessed for the survey in Kenya. And it is confirmed that, of course, like we said earlier, 6 out of these children out of 10 in this number, 6 out of 10 out of 6,669 cannot be able to read or do math, and this is children who are school going. You know, the age of 5 is a school going child, and the age of 12 is a child of maybe even up to class standard or grade 6, and it's so sad that they cannot be able to read and also cannot be able to do basic mathematics problems, to solve basic mathematics problems. This is something that the Kenyan education sector should join and come into to make sure that it is doing better. And here on the top to this morning, Thuge warns of debt distress amid ambitious borrowing and reduced appetite for loans, urges CBK boss. Now, CBK boss Thuge has warned Kenya, and of course, this is something that has been happening since I don't know when, but Kenya has always been borrowing, and you know, CBK and the World Bank have always been cancelling Kenya and advising Kenya not to continue borrowing. Now the boss here says that the debt distress amid the ambitious borrowing. Of course, there is debt that is yet to be paid, and then there is now more borrowing. And of course, when you borrow again, you have to continue paying. So the paying amount is continues to pile up, and you know, the Kenyan government of course is trying so hard to make sure that it is improving their raise in revenue. So this is something that I think Kenya should of course follow the council and reduce the borrowing. And ousted by MCAs for a third time, Nyaribo's fate lies in Senate again. This is in page 7 of the Daily Nation newspaper. Nyamira County Governor Amos Nyaribo was yesterday impeached by the members of the county assembly in the Nyamira County Assembly yesterday, and 23 out of 32 MCAs voted him out. This is for the third time. They did this again in 2024. They did this again earlier this year, and they did also it again yesterday. So now the members of the County Assembly of Nyamira County have impeached their Governor Amos Nyaribo. And the fate of the governor, of course, it has to be procedural. After the County Assembly, it goes to the Senate. And if the Senate agrees and votes to impeach the governor, then he is impeached. But if the Senate does not vote to impeach the governor, maybe, you know, the votes are maybe divided into the 2 equal parts, or you know, lesser from the parts that are not impeaching him, that do not support the motion of impeachment, then the governor will not be impeached. He will remain in the government seat. But if the Senate decides to impeach Governor Amos Nyaribo of Nyamira County, then that will be the end of his governance in Nyamira County. And now I want us to look at the other newspaper, the Taifa Leo newspaper, whereby of course it's again political issues going on in the country. You know, Kenya has been of course making sure that the political part of the country is doing well. And again, it is just about the Nyamira County Governor Amos Nyaribo, and Governor wa Nyamira afuata nyayo za magavana Kawira Mwangaza, Martin Wambora waliotemwa mara tatu, of course, and this is kutemwa mara tatu is by the county assemblies. Now mkosi mweusi wa Nyaribo ni gavana wa county ya Nyamira Amos Nyaribo. Governor huyo anashutumiwa kwa mashtaka mingi. There are a lot of complaints of course going on for Governor Amos Nyaribo. Ya kwanza ni ashutumiwa kukiuka katiba na sheria nyingine pamoja na kutumia afisi yake vibaya. Alaumiwa kuegemea mrengo wa speaker wa zamani. Of course, we are aware about the battles that have been going on in the County Assembly of Nyamira. There is, I think, 2 county assemblies. Kuna ile moja inafanyika kijijini, and then kuna ile moja inafanyika kwenye chambers za county assembly. And tunaona kama tunavyoangalia hapa, Governor Nyaribo amekuwa akitegemea sana ama akiegemea sana kwenye ule mrengo mwingine ule unaofanyika na speaker wa kitambo ambao county assemblies walimtaka kumtoa, na Governor aliteua Peris Oroko kuwa waziri wa kaunti bila kuidhinishwa na bunge la kaunti, na hivyo alikosa kuwasilisha stakabadhi za kila mwaka za fedha na pia kukosa kuhutubia bunge. As you know, every governor at the end of every year has to go to the county assemblies to give maybe a state of the county assembly report, and also to make sure that they kufikisha fedha, stakabadhi za fedha za kila mwaka. At the end of every financial year they have to take the report of the financial year to the county assemblies. Lakini tunavyoangalia hapa, Governor Nyaribo hakuifanya hayo yote, na pia alikaidi amri ya mahakama ya waajiri na leba ya Kisumu na kumteua Clive Ogwora kama waziri wa kaunti, na analaumiwa kuwaajiri wafanyikazi bila bajeti iliyoidhinishwa, wakiwemo maafisa 49, na aliwaajiri Godfrey Kiraigo na Elmeda Nyaberi katika idara ya uajiri kwa njia ya mapendeleo, na hivyo pia anadaiwa kupokea shilingi milioni 5.6 kama mshahara wa ulipaji haramu wa mishahara. These are the complaints that are being pinned against Governor Amos Nyaribo of Nyamira County Government. And of course, let us also take a look at this. It's also about the county government of Nyamira and the Nyamira County Governor, Governor Amos Kimwoni Nyaribo hali halali. Kwa mara ya tatu sasa amebanduliwa mamlakani na madiwani wa bunge la kaunti ya Nyamira kama ilivyokuwa Septemba wa mwaka wa 2024, ambapo idadi kubwa ya madiwani ilipitisha kutemwa kwake. Hatima yake imo mikononi mwa bunge la seneti baada ya kuondolewa tena madarakani. Speaker Thaddeus Nyabaro wa kaunti ya Nyamira aliongoza kikao ambapo madiwani 23 wa bunge la kaunti walipiga kura kumwondoa mamlakani gavana huyo. Hizi ni habari katika ukurasa kamili katika ukurasa wa pili wa gazeti la Taifa Leo. And of course, that is where we take our first commercial break from the morning report, the magazine review. And I am Chemutai Kiri, and of course my director this morning is Lucas Oma. We are taking a commercial break, and when we come back, of course, we'll be looking at more newspapers.
This festive season, treat yourself at Canal Park Hotel, just 5 kilometers from Kisii town off Kisii-Kilgoris Road. Enjoy luxury, comfort, and a 10% discount on all accommodation services. Book now and celebrate in style.